discussing and ranking the options for late first round running backs. And before we get right into it, really quickly, I just wanted to throw out there that if anyone would be interested in doing a fantasy league this year, I thought that could be a fun idea. I could make a Discord server for it. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you would be down to be in a fantasy league. And if we get enough people, we can work out the details and all that stuff after the fact. But yeah, if you have interest in that, let me know. And without further ado, let's jump into these running back options. For the late first round, I chose to compare Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Ashton Jeanty, and James Cook. This is kind of an interesting range. I didn't want, obviously you could throw in people like Achan or Barkley to the end of this. I didn't want to make a huge comparison video, because I just think it would be a bit too much. But I also didn't want to separate like McCaffrey and Taylor, for example, in their own video, because I feel like they're not as clear-cut above as like Bijan and Gibbs having their own video. I think makes sense, because that's for the running back one. It's a little more exciting. But I think just a McCaffrey and Taylor video wouldn't really be enough. So yeah, this is where we ended up, but we're going to start with CMC. He is going into his age 30 season, which historically is a cliff for running backs. They have kind of the age 28 year, which is like the yellow zone, and then the age 30 season is like the red zone, and not in the good way, the football way of the red zone. Usually age 30 is a massive drop-off for running backs. However, even if he drops off, he did finish first among all flex players in points per game in a half PPR format last year, which is very impressive, obviously, at age 29. He had an insane 78% of the 49ers rush attempts inside the 5-yard line, which translated to 18 attempts, which I put down as elite because anything over 50% is rare and 78% is crazy. And then similarly, his target share, he had 23% of the 49ers receiving targets, which is also elite for a running back. That's like good wide receiver 2, like fringe wide receiver 1 target share numbers, and he's a running back. Now there is a stat that I have here that you will notice I did not put down for any other running back on this video or in future videos. And that is that he had 413 total touches last season. I noted this because he is the only running back last year that had over 370 total touches. And obviously he blew way past 370, he was at 413. And the reason I'm bringing up this 370 number, if you play a lot of fantasy football, you may be familiar with the curse of 370, the curse of 370, which is basically just shorthand for how any running back that had a really great season on high volume usually is unable to repeat that production the following year. This is case-by-case basis, but mainly with all those touches, you're more likely to get injured the next year because your body just can't handle 2 really massive workload seasons, or just lose efficiency because you've gotten hit so many times. You just don't have the juice that you had the last year. So yeah, usually once you go above that 370 touch mark, the next season is going to be a massive drop-off. Now, obviously, he led running backs and receivers in points. So if he drops off, how far down is he going to drop? That is the question. But he's not being drafted as the running back one, but he is being drafted as the third running back off the board. So it is a hefty price that you can't really afford much regression for. As for his supporting cast, you have Brock Purdy, who is very serviceable quarterback and will obviously pass the ball to McCaffrey, looking at his target share numbers. And then as for their receiving threats, the weapons on this team, you have Mike Evans and George Kittle, who, like McCaffrey himself, are aging veteran weapons that are very good, but could very well get injured. And we've seen last year, if 49ers receivers get injured, McCaffrey can pick up that slack, even being the most focused on, player and weapon on their team. But it could be McCaffrey getting injured this time. You have to roll that dice. And then I have on ESPN the 49ers depth chart. Their running back 2 listed is Jordan James, which maybe I'm more casual than I thought. Maybe I'm a little too casual, but who is that? I would hope that maybe he's like a late round rookie that I just didn't notice. But yeah, so no real competition for touches if McCaffrey is healthy, it looks like, at least on paper. So, great season, but age concerns, durability concerns, as is, the case with McCaffrey. Moving on to Jonathan Taylor. He's entering his age 27 season, so he's not at that 28 level, so age is not really a concern with him. He finished second in FPPR points per game, so interesting how the running back 1 and running back 2 last year are being drafted as running back 3 and 4 behind Bijan and Gibbs. Not saying that there aren't reasons for that, but it is a funny coincidence that they're back-to-back. He had 61% of the Colts rushing attempts because you have Daniel Jones, who is a running quarterback, I'm sure. And then they also ran the Tyler Warren tush pushes. I'm sure that ate into his percentage. But he had 19 attempts, which is a ton, and 61% is still elite. However, he only had 10% of his team's target share, which is really good. I'm just not going to put elite on it. I made the cutoff for elite at 15%, I believe. There was enough running backs with above 15%. But 10% is definitely serviceable. As for the supporting cast, you have the big question mark with Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones is coming off an Achilles injury. Will he be the same? Will they be the same team as the early Colts, where Jonathan Taylor was scoring 40 points a game for 3 weeks in a row? Or are they going to be the end of the year Colts, where he kind of fell off? They have weapons to throw to. No one jaw-dropping, I guess. You have Alec Pierce, who they re-signed, Tyler Warren, who flashed as a rookie, and then I put Josh Downs in there, just as an honorable mention. But yeah, nobody crazy that's going to demand crazy targets, but I think respectable enough that you can't completely load the box. And then the running back 2 listed in Indy is DJ Giddens, so again, no real competition for Taylor if he is, healthy and out there. He doesn't always play on third down, but he has a 10% target share, so we'll see what happens with him. Really, it's just the Daniel Jones question and the overall Colts as a team question. Moving on to Ashton Jeanty. He is going into his age 22 season, so is this his rookie year or his third year? Or, yeah, is this his second year or his third year? Is it bad that I already don't remember? This is his second year. He was a rookie last year, I think. Final answer. Yeah, he had to be a rookie last year. So he's going into his age 22 year. He is a very different case than the previous two. He only finished 27th in points per game last year in a half PPR format. Half PPR, point per reception. So you may think I was even in this range. And it's because of his other underlying metrics. He had 90% of the Raiders' rush attempts inside the 5, which, off the top of my head, I think is the highest. It is definitely the highest of relevant players. Like, maybe there's someone else. I don't think so, though. I think he had the highest percentage. However, there was only 9 rushing attempts, which is less than Jonathan Taylor and McCaffrey, who had lower percentages. And that is just because the Raiders' offense is not good enough to support him, or was not good enough to support him. I still put it down as elite just because when you have 9 out of 10 of the rushing attempts inside the 5, you've proven that you're in that role, and that's the role that you want to be in. So I put him down as elite anyway, even if it's just 9 attempts, just based on the percentage. And then target share, very good as well, 14.78, so almost in that elite category of 15%, but a very serviceable target share. And then the team, this is the big question mark. Geno Smith is out, Pete Carroll is out, Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza are in. You have Brock Bowers, you have Trey Tucker, honorable mention. But really, you just have Brock Bowers. So, are they going to load the box and sell out to stop the 4th or 6th? I might be getting them mixed up, because Jeremiah Love was like mocked to go 4th, 5th, and 6th. But yeah, he was like the 4th, 5th, or 6th overall pick. Well, teams sell out to stop him. Especially because Bowers is not an outside threat. He is going to be on the line of scrimmage as a tight end. So you could still load the box and cover them both. That would be the concern. And then another casual moment here. The Raiders running back 2 is Mike Washington Jr., who, again, I have never heard of. I do not know who that is, unfortunately. So I would say little competition for touches, as long as Ashton Jeanty is getting it done, right? So here, you can see he had good, metrics, underlying metrics. He had the roles that you want. He was catching passes. He was getting goal line attempts. But the offensive line and the offense as a whole wasn't good enough to hit on those opportunities, and he only finished 27th flex player in points per game. So is Kirk Cousins better than Geno Smith? Maybe, maybe not. But Pete Carroll is gone, and maybe Fernando Mendoza can do something, but also that's a rookie, so that's a little bit scary. But yeah, so it's kind of just how you feel on the Raiders. Are you high on the Raiders? Then you would love Ashton Jeanty, because he has everything that you would want outside of a competent team around him. And finally, we're going to go with James Cook for the late first round running backs. He's going into his age 26 season, which did surprise me. That is older than I thought. I feel like he's relatively new to my psyche, But yeah, age 26 already. He's only a year younger than Jonathan Taylor, who I feel like has been around for a long time. So maybe he was an older rookie. I'm not really sure. But yeah, so age 26 season for him. He's kind of the reverse story of Ashton Jeanty, which is pretty funny. And I think works for them both being in this video as well. He finished 8th in points per game, half PPR. However, he only had 38% of his team's rush attempts inside the 5 because obviously you have Josh Allen taking sneaks and you have other backups that got in at the goal line pretty frequently. However, he still had 14 attempts, which is a good number. And he only had 8.35% of the Bills' target share, which is on the lower end. It's not like impossible. I mean, obviously he finished 8th in points per game, but in the first round you'd like that to be higher. So he must have had really good touchdown luck. That's the only thing I can think of as to how he could finish so high, right? But it just goes to show you, Ashton Jeanty had 90% of his team's goal line rushes, and he had almost a 15% target share, and he was 27th. And James Cook is way less in percentage of both of those categories, and he finished 8th because he has the better offense, so his opportunities are higher value even if he's getting fewer of them. And yes, I was saying for the supporting cast, you have Josh Allen, best or second best quarterback in the league, newly acquired DJ Moore and Khalil Shakir, another good range where it's not like, Lammer and Pickens, right, where they're going to take away from your running back opportunities, but it's still respectable enough, especially with Josh Allen throwing the ball, that you can't completely sell out to stop the run, right? That's not going to be the goal if you're against the Bills. And then the running back 2 here is listed as Ray Davis, and I would say this is the worst competition, or the worst meaning the best RB2, like the worst for the player we're evaluating in terms of running back competition. Not because Ray Davis is anything super crazy, but he only, like I said, other running backs came in at the goal line for him on occasion. I mean, he has a very low goal line team percentage, right? So I would say he would, if you were to place a bet on who would see the fewest snaps or be on the field the least, I think James Cook, unless you're betting on like McCaffrey getting injured or Jonathan Taylor getting injured or something, assuming health, you would say that James Cook is the most likely to finish last in terms of like snap percentage and being on the field every single play. So now let's just looking at the raw numbers here. We have McCaffrey, the oldest. Everyone else, age not really a concern. McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor were amazing last year. Jeanty was poor, and Cook was good, but maybe not, running back 4 or 5 overall good. You have the goal line numbers. Jonathan Taylor had the highest in like raw attempts. Jeanty had the highest in percentage, with James Cook being very far behind the other two. And then target share, similar story. McCaffrey noticeably ahead of everyone, with Jeanty in a very good spot. And then Jonathan Taylor, not known for that, but still at double digits. And then James Cook at the lowest percentage. So the questions are, McCaffrey is in a good offense that could get injured, including himself with his age and his touches. Jonathan Taylor, I wrote scary offense, not meaning like the Bengals are a scary offense, right? That's not what I mean. I mean, it's like scary to invest heavily into this offense with your first round pick because of Daniel Jones's Achilles injury and not knowing which version of the Colts you're going to get. So scary in a bad way, unfortunately. For Jeanty, but bad offense, which it's possible that it could be good. There have been changes. You have Linderbaum, you have a new quarterback, you have a new coach. It could be there, but it's unsure. At the very least, it's unsure. And then rookie quarterback is always a question mark. And then obviously for James, you have a great offense with a vulturing quarterback with QB sneaks. So it's very interesting to sort these guys. I will say at cost, McCaffrey is my least favorite. I'm just kind of out on him because of the 413 touches last year and being 30 years old and just his history of on and off and on and off, being amazing, going running back one and then missing the year and then running back one and then missing the year is kind of the cycle with him. So I'd be very wary to draft him, even if that's not the most sound logic potentially, but I think the curse of 370 and the age 30 running back cliff are kind of the supporting, hit my mic there, are kind of the supporting evidence for the feeling part of it, which is he's probably not going to be able to repeat that. That being said, he wouldn't be like the last one I would draft out of these four, but he goes first, which I don't like, is kind of what I mean. Like, if the only running back that I would take above him is Jonathan Taylor, I think Jonathan Taylor would be, of these four, the one that I would want the most. Obviously, it's scary with Daniel Jones. They haven't done anything in the offseason. Their second quarterback listed on their depth chart is still Anthony Richardson, so maybe that's a good sign that they think that Daniel Jones is progressing. But even without that, I think he's the safest. He's had very good seasons in the past. He catches enough balls, but I just think he's going to score touchdowns, and he is very talented. Not that those things don't apply to McCaffrey, but I'm just a little bit scared of McCaffrey this year. So I would say Jonathan Taylor, then McCaffrey second if we're taking them at the same draft pick. But McCaffrey goes the earliest, so that's why I said I'm kind of the most out on him. And then between Jeanty and James Cook, it's the tale of two. The exact opposites. Do you want the workhorse on a bad offense or the running back on a very good offense that won't be on the field as much? This is hard because I think historically, from what I've learned playing fantasy, is you would rather have the Bucky Irving, the T. Higgins to mix positions, the player that's on a better offense with the lower volume, over having someone that is just going to run into a cloud of dust on every play, even if he gets the ball a lot. But I feel like if it's me and I'm on the clock, would I really want to take James Cook when I have Ashton Jeanty there and he has the possibility, like the Patriots last year, right? Or the Commanders the year before. There are teams, running backs on bottom five offenses are very bad. But whenever people say that, I always just think, you don't know really who's going to be a bottom five offense. It's possible that someone just outperforms expectations, and now all of a sudden you are out on a guy because they were supposed to be in a bad situation, like Jonathan Taylor last year as well. They're supposed to be in a bad situation, so you fade them, and then the team shocks people, and now they're a workhorse in a really good situation. So Is it worth the risk? That's the question. And I'm not sure. Let me think about this. I think if I was on the clock, I would take Ashton Jeanty over James Cook. Just because I feel like James Cook might get taken out for either another running back or his number might not get called on the goal line. Which is crazy because he finished, he had a very good season of scoring fantasy points last year. But I think it's kind of like, am I doing that thing where it's like, I'll take what's behind curtain number 2. Like curtain number 1 is a boat, and I'm going to take what's behind curtain number 2 because it might be a boat, right? Like, am I taking Ashton Jeanty because he might score as many fantasy points as James Cook did last year, right? But I think that the potential for the Raiders to improve, and then he is in an elite role with a running back 2 that I've never heard of versus a running back 2 and Ray Davis that I have heard of and I have seen take touchdowns away, right? So yeah, I think if we're going in order, I would draft Jonathan Taylor, then McCaffrey, then Jeanty, then Cook. But I'm a little bit scared of McCaffrey, but I do think if you're picking between McCaffrey and Jeanty, you have to take McCaffrey just because his numbers are too good and his offense is too good. But I would be afraid. I feel like in the McCaffrey range, I'm just going receivers. But yeah, so this has gone on a bit longer than I thought, but I have an idea of what I'm gonna pick, but I don't really, as you can tell, I don't have a script for this, so I'm kind of just talking myself through it, picturing myself on the clock, and I think that's what I've decided here. Is it dumb to fade McCaffrey? It very well could be. Let me know. But I just think too many things line up to him not having a great year. But only time will tell. Have a good night. Thank you so much for spending your time with me and watching this video. Again, comment down below if you would want to do a fantasy league. I will definitely get that started, get that going. Because I think it would be a ton of fun. And yeah.